Hello, viewers. This is Ryzen, and welcome back to Battle Beyond Friends. Now, we're going to the Moonlight Cavern, which is my first dungeon. And originally, after you defeated Drake, he didn't join your party. He just told you where it was and let you leave the village. Now, Biran did start with 700 HP. However, the enemies dealt around 60 to 80 damage. And they ganged up on you. And there was always 4 of them. This made the very first portion of the game exceptionally difficult. And the game only got harder from there. There was no learning curve. So yeah, that's one of the things I made sure to fix in the game. Drake makes this first portion of the game really quite simple. There are random encounters in this game, and of course, as soon as I start to say that, one happens. The enemies around here shouldn't be too tough. Oh! Of course, I get a spider, which is the one enemy I'm worried about. A rare encounter here. Wow, there's only a 25% chance to encounter this thing. Spiders don't start appearing till the bottom floors of the Moonlight Cavern. We need to find Drake a tanning bed. No, actually, he'll probably instantly melt to death. I don't know. Unfortunately, you can't. It's not like RPG Maker 2 where you can like edit the colors of everyone. No, there's 4 default colors. 3 for monsters, small monsters. 2 for medium monsters, and there's only 1 for large monsters. And that's not a bad level up. Good defense gain. I'm more concerned about the magic defense gain. And we get Recovery Blade, which is one of the most useful skills in the game. Originally, it healed 50 to one character. I powered it up so that it heals 100. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but for only 5 MP, 100 HP, that's amazing. That's useful all the way to the end of the game. I'll be using that all the way through the game. It's that good. The reason why it's so good is because your skills take HP, so Recovery Blade is very good for topping off HP when your healers can't keep up with the damage. And that will happen in this game. And we've got our first dungeon crawl, the Moonlight Cavern. What's over there? You don't want to go that way. Not that the game would let you, because I think it kicks you out. Yeah, it does. Drake would say, we don't need to go that way. And even if you went there after Drake left your party, the game would say there's no reason to go this way. Because the enemies on the upper floors of the Moonlight Cavern are close to final area enemies, so they would kick your ass. Oh. No, it's the Cavern of Moonlight. So what are we doing here? Oh, Drake, such a kidder. I don't even know why I made Drake act like that. He was originally a very serious guy, and I just revised the script. Are you starting to notice why these dungeons are not very interesting? I'll give you a hint. Final Fantasy 13. Yes, every dungeon is in fact a hallway. Does this look anything like a natural cavern? And this is why you don't do this. When you're creating a natural area, it should look, well, natural. Forests should feel like forests. Caves should feel like caves. And so on and so forth. This does not. Fake forest trees. These guys are pretty easy. They just cast Fireball on you, I think. Just go ahead and, I'll just go ahead and Vintage Slash with anyone, really. They just cast Fireball on you. Yeah, it's not even going to damage Drake. I'm not even worried about it. The enemies in here are not that hard anymore. Now, I will be editing out some random battles, most of them actually, but until you get an idea of the turn-based battle system, it is pretty much just basic turn-based fanfare with a actual gauge on the bottom. Not ATB though, just turn-based gauge. That's okay level. Got 3 agility, that's good. Supposedly agility affects your evasion as well, but I never notice a difference. Unless you have really high agility. I think this gives you Biran's weapon and armor, which... yeah, I guess I could have waited for it, but... why? Money's never a problem. I wonder how strong Drake's sword is. 5? Wow. You really suck, Drake. And, yeah, you probably could use Drake, abuse him to level up some, but it may be the desert area. You might be able to handle the grasslands. I doubt it, though. There's a dragon enemy there that would probably kick your ass. It's kind of cheating, though. These guys just use bandit cut on you. They look more like trolls to me, but whatever. Does everyone in this game have a skin condition? What's going on here? And look at these guys. Are you gonna stop chopping me with your axe? No? Okay. Another thing about this game is missing. They happen quite frequently. You probably miss about 30% of your attacks. Unless it's magic. Magic can't miss. Of course, I haven't missed a single time right now, but no way that's gonna last. Used to miss about 60-70% of your attacks. Luckily, I fixed that. Sorry if the train got picked up. Oh, you have to hold R2 to turn. At least at any decent rate. Here's an interesting formation. Now, as I'm trying to select the bandits. I can't. The troll's in the front row. So if I want to hit the bandits in the back, I gotta use a skill. I don't want to do that, because Drake's skills suck. So I'm just gonna have Drake try and take out the troll, while Biran focuses on the enemies in the back. And while we dungeon crawl here, I guess I should explain some basic ideas of writing fiction in general, if you're interested. When you're writing fiction in particular, the first thing that you want to do, well, when writing anything, is you want to have a basic idea of the events that are going to happen. I didn't do that in Battle Beyond Friends, and thus the first draft of the story was an absolute and utter mess, with plot holes all over the place, plot points that were just dropped and forgotten. So don't do that. Script everything out. You don't have to actually script it out, but you should have at least some basic notes. At least character relationships. I didn't make that mistake with Element to Order. When I went on to Element to Order, I made a script. Well, I made a whole bunch of notes for nice upskirt. No, for the characters and their relationships to each other, both protagonists and antagonists. Protagonists are the good guys. Antagonists are the well, that's kind of a simplistic way of saying it. For those of you who don't know the literary terms, a protagonist is the star of a book. It's the characters or characters that the story focuses on, and the antagonist is the opposing force, whether it be nature or another villain, or a villain or whatever. Or it might even be the protagonist himself. And yeah, I just kind of drew lines for this dungeon and most dungeons, so that's why they're not very interesting. So the first thing that you want to come up with is probably the characters. You want to know a general backstory of each character and character relationships and all that. Now, you don't want to be tied down to your script. Like, you should be able to adapt at any time and add new plot points if you so choose, but it's still a good idea to have a general idea. Now, the next thing that you want to have an idea of is the rules of your world. When you're writing something, in particular fiction, the only reason a fictional world works is because there are rules that you establish for the reader. You cannot change these rules unless you foreshadow that change. An unforeshadowed change in the rule is known as breaking the reader-writer contract, and that is not a good thing. You are essentially lying to your reader, or in this case, the player. Final Fantasy XIII is the quickest example that comes to mind, where the game establishes all these rules, in particular about the beast Ragnarok, and then proceeds to completely ignore said rules just so the ending of the game can work. And there's no foreshadowing at all. The only explanation is, lol, we were lying, and that doesn't work in literature. I mean, for example, you can't write a murder mystery and have the cop investigating the murder be the killer without any sort of foreshadowing. It just doesn't work. And if you were to, say, turn in an assignment to a creative writing class where you were to write said murder mystery, you would fail. You have to foreshadow. Ideally, every plot twist should be foreshadowed. Ideally, every change in a rule should be foreshadowed and explained. But you got to do at least one of them. Usually you have to do foreshadowing, but sometimes you can get away with just an explanation if it's a really good explanation, but preferably you want to do both. Let's go ahead and restore Biran's MP. I mean, it's one thing to stretch a rule, it's another thing to completely ignore it or change it. And it's even worse to just outright break a rule. Let's see. A good example of changing the rules probably would be Chrono Trigger. One of the rules established in Chrono Trigger... Oh, it's only one troll. I won't edit this out. Well, one of the rules established in Chrono Trigger about... was it halfway through? Was that Labos created gates, right? That was one of the rules. However, we already used a gate and came out of the gate that existed before Lavos crashed into the planet, which was your clue that that explanation is not true. There has to be something that indicates that the rule is wrong in some way. That's called misdirection, and that's okay. But you can't have outright. But let's say that foreshadowing wasn't there, and then they brought up the entity subplot, changing the rules without any explanation or foreshadowing. Now, Chrono Trigger still doesn't add an explanation, which is a problem. But at the very least, there's foreshadowing in the form of that this rule doesn't explain this one event. That is, the gate being there before Lavos crashed in the planet. So that's how you change a rule. There has to be something that directly or indirectly indicates that something is wrong. Something that the player can point to, or reader can point to, on a second playthrough or read. Ideally, something you won't pick up the first time through. So maybe you can pick up all the foreshadowing I have in this game here. Tip of advice when doing foreshadowing is don't so much worry about actually putting it in, because once you do your plot twist, you can always go back and add in the foreshadowing later. So don't even worry about it. I mean, just go back when you revise the script, because you're never going to just write something once and have it be good. You've got to revise it 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I mean, Battle Beyond Friends has undergone 4 revisions, I believe. Maybe 3. And kind of a bug fix 4th revision. Oh, it's another spider. I was gonna edit it out, but it's only one enemy. Even though it is a spider. So yeah, I try to throw foreshadowing all over the place. Fiery Heart takes 5 MP, or 5 HP, but it does 10 more damage, so it does 85 on average. Or at least its power is set to 85. It's not a very good skill, really. It's better than Vengeance Slash, but that's not saying much. If you're wondering why I'm not using Drake's skills, it's because his skills absolutely suck. They only have a base power of like 15, 20. His normal attack is stronger than that. I hate that. Just figured I'd edit that out. It's just another spider. I think this is the last floor. And now, if you're wondering why these dungeons look like this, it's because the way you design dungeons is essentially by drawing lines, and I didn't quite understand the concept of making wide open areas with columns in the middle. Oops. In my defense, the back of the box does say, creating dungeons is as easy as drawing lines on a paper. No. And you know what? You know who could help Drake overcome his phobia of the sun? John Boehner. Yay, save point. Aw, damn it. Now, the nice thing about my save points is that they do heal you, but because there's a hit event right on top of them, sometimes you have a hard time getting them to save. So you just gotta kind of keep walking into them or turn into them. It's annoying. Elemental Order has the same problem. I don't really know how to fix that. Well, I could place like a magic circle that heals you here or something, but meh. Anyway, I'm gonna cut it off here, and next time we got another boss battle. So, oh, it didn't take too long actually. We've only been dungeon crawling for about 45 minutes. Oh, it gets worse, people. It gets worse. Battle Beyond Friends is a dungeon crawler at its finest. So I will see you next time, and thanks for watching. Bye.